Hello, everyone. I'm Pastor Dan, and thank you for joining us today as Stella and Eric as they dive into the fascinating life of Herod the Great, exploring his architectural feats, his political maneuvers, and his controversial legacy. Discover how his Roman client king shaped the history and landscape of Judea with his ambitious projects and his ruthless rule. So join us as we go into Herod's rise to power.
Okay, so picture this. It's 40 BC and Herod, he's not yet Herod the Great, mind you. He gets appointed as king of Judea by the Roman Senate. And honestly, it's kind of wild because he's, well, not even in Judea at the time. Like, can you imagine being declared king of, I don't know, I'll just say he's in Australia, while you're off chilling in Rome?
It's a spectacular example of political maneuvering. Herod was incredibly savvy in aligning himself with the powerful families in Rome, particularly Mark Antony and later Augustus. That appointment wasn't just handed to him. It was the result of relentless lobbying, and I dare say, knowing exactly how to play the game.
Yeah, but here's where it gets kinda intense. After heading back to Judea, he didn't just stroll in and say, hey, I'm your king now. No, he had to fight for it. There was this whole rebellion going on. I mean, how do you even consolidate power when half the population is like, who are you again?
Yes, and that's where Herod's ruthlessness really comes into play. He didn't just negotiate peace, he removed opposition. Executions were, unfortunately, central to his consolidation of power. He eliminated rivals, including members of the Sanhedrin, who posed a significant threat to his authority.
It's brutal, but, it reminds me of something. Oh, okay, bear with me. Think about corporate mergers, right? There's always this talk of streamlining or restructuring, and you kind of know it means people are gonna, lose their jobs.
A curious metaphor, Stella, but not an entirely inaccurate one. The restructuring in Herod's case often meant removing anyone who could even remotely pose a threat, not just figuratively, but literally.
Right? And isn't it fascinating how some leaders, whether in politics or business, always seem to emerge victorious, no matter the odds? They've just got this instinct for survival, this ability to, read the room, politically speaking.
Absolutely. Herod's instincts were unmatched. He wasn't afraid to adapt to changing circumstances, and his loyalty to Rome, served him well. While his methods were harsh, they were undeniably effective in securing his throne.
It's the whole ends justify the means thing, huh? Like you almost respect the strategy, even if it's kind of terrifying.
Indeed. But it's that very strategy that laid the foundation for his longer reign, despite constant challenges. Herod's ability to walk that tightrope between Roman loyalty and local governance is really something to consider.
And also, let's not forget, he wasn't just sitting on a throne chilling. Herod was gearing up for something much bigger.
Hey, everyone, it's me again. I'm glad we can listen in with Stella and Eric, and as they look at how the life of Herod in his early stages before he took the throne was ambitious, and he was unmatched like no other with his loyalty to Rome, and also the fact that he was ruthless, and that is what got him his throne. So let's see how the architectural ambitions take place. Listen in with Eric and Stella.
So with his throne secured and his rivals eliminated, Herod did something pretty remarkable. Instead of just ruling, he started building, literally. Like this guy wasn't content with just being remembered as a king. He wanted to leave behind a legacy you could actually walk through. And trust me, he didn't hold back.
That's right. What stands out most is the expansion of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. This wasn't just a mere renovation. It was an enormous undertaking. We're talking about transforming it into one of the largest religious complexes of its time, rivaling even the great temples of the Roman world.
Isn't that right? Like, he wasn't building a backyard shed. This thing was massive. Imagine walking up to it for the first time. Towering facades, shiny gold accents. It must have made people think, okay, maybe this Herod guy is serious business.
Yup, that was precisely the point. It wasn't just about religious devotion. It was a political move, too. Herod wanted to consolidate power by winning over his Jewish subjects, while also impressing his Roman overlords. The temple served both purposes marvelously.
I see what you mean. It's like he was saying, look, Romans, I can build something just as, if not more, grand than the stuff in Rome. And at the same time, I'm showing respect to my locals. Talk about multitasking.
Oh yeah, and Herod didn't stop there. His architectural ambitions extended throughout Judea. Caesarea Maritima, for instance, is a marvel of engineering, featuring an artificial harbor that rivaled anything in the Mediterranean at the time.
Okay, that for real blows my mind. Engineering like that in what, the 1st century BC? How did they even pull that off?
Remarkable ingenuity. They used a special type of hydraulic cement that could set underwater, a mix of lime and volcanic ash. Honestly, standing there today, amongst the ruins, you can't help but feel a sense of awe at what they accomplished so long ago. Remarkable ingenuity. They used a special type of hydraulic cement that could set underwater, a mix of lime and volcanic ash. Honestly, standing there today, amongst the ruins, you can't help but feel a sense of awe at what they accomplished so long ago.
Wait, you've actually been there?
Yes, I visited the site fairly recently. You walk through what's left of Herod's palace overlooking the sea, and it's breathtaking. You can visualize how grand it must have been. Columned courtyards, mosaic floors, and even a freshwater pool perched right on the shoreline.
Now I'm jealous. But also, it kind of paints this picture of Herod as not just a ruler, but like a visionary. It's almost poetic, if you ignore the, darker stuff.
Precisely. His projects conveyed grandeur and ambition, but as with many figures of his caliber, there's always a darker, more complex side to consider.
Which we'll be getting into, right?
Hey, if you listen to how Eric described the palace, I'm like, boy, I wish I could live there. And I can see why that Stella was jealous, because she wanted to, she painted her little picture in her head of this visionary. And she said it was almost poetic if he didn't do all those bad things. But that's the way it goes. So we're going to look at now the controversial legacy of King Herod. Let's go away to Eric and Stella.
So we've marveled at Herod the builder, the visionary, but history rarely paints people in just one light. Beneath all of that grandeur lies a darker legacy, and perhaps one of the most haunting tales tied to him is the infamous massacre of the innocents.
Ah yes, the account from the Gospel of Matthew. Herod, in a desperate attempt to eliminate the Christ child, orders the killing of all male children under 2 in Bethlehem. It's a chilling image, isn't it? Yet, historians debate the historical accuracy of this event.
I know that's right. Like, was it propaganda? Or maybe an exaggeration to paint him as, the ultimate villain?
It could have been a bit of both. While there isn't concrete evidence outside of Matthew's gospel, it's entirely consistent with Herod's character. He was known for eliminating anyone he perceived as a threat, even members of his own family.
Oh yes, wasn't there something about him having, multiple members of his family executed, his own kids even.
What happened to Herod the Great's sons? Have you ever wondered what became of the sons of Herod the Great after his reign? The story of Herod's children is filled with drama and political intrigue. After Herod's death around for years before the Common Era, his kingdom was divided according to his will, pending approval from the Roman Emperor Augustus. First, let's talk about Antipater, Herod's firstborn son. He was initially the chosen heir to the throne. However, just days before Herod passed away, Antipater was executed due to a mix of political maneuvering and mistrust. This shocking event occurred only 5 days before Herod's own death, eliminating Antipater from the line of succession. Next up is Archelaus, who received the largest portion of Herod's kingdom, including Judea, Samaria, and Idumea. He was given the title of etnarch, which is a rank slightly above tetrarch. Unfortunately, Archelaus's rule was marked by unrest. His harsh measures to suppress revolts led to his eventual deposition by the Romans. This removal was a direct result of his inability to maintain order and gain the support of the people. Then we have Herod Antipas, another son who was assigned the territories of Galilee and Perea. He held the title of tetrarch, meaning he ruled a quarter of the kingdom. Antipas is often remembered for his role in the execution of John the Baptist and his interactions with Jesus, as noted in the New Testament. He ruled for years before the Common Era until 39 of the Common Era but never achieved the title of king. Lastly, there is Herod Philip. He was given control over the northeastern territories, including Gaulonitis, Bathania, Trachonitis, and Auronitis. Like Antipas, he held the title of tetrarch. His rule was generally more peaceful and less documented in historical records, making him a quieter figure compared to his brothers. In summary, the fate of Herod the Great's sons reflects the complex dynamics of the Herodian dynasty during the Second Temple period. Antipater was executed before he could rule, Archelaus faced deposition due to poor governance, Herod Antipas is remembered for his biblical connections, and Herod Philip governed quietly. Each of these sons played a role in shaping the history of Judea during a time of significant change and turmoil.
You couldn't be more right, Stella. He had 3 of his sons put to death, along with his wife Mariamne and her relatives. There was even a saying at the time, attributed to Emperor Augustus. It's better to be Herod's pig than his son. A dark but telling remark.
Yikes. 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 That's ice cold. I mean, it's no wonder his relationships with Jewish religious leaders were pretty fraught, right? Like being half Idumean probably didn't help either.
No, it didn't. His Idumean heritage and efforts to present himself as a legitimate Jewish ruler created significant tension. While he rebuilt the temple to appease the Jewish population, many still saw him as an outsider, a puppet of Rome in their eyes.
Which is honestly kinda ironic, considering how hard he worked to balance the two. Like between keeping Rome happy and trying to win over the Jews, it's almost like he just couldn't win.
Right on, Stella. And that duality defines Herod. On one hand, his architectural achievements transformed Judea into a region of splendor. On the other hand, his ruthless methods ensured he would be remembered as a tyrant as much as a visionary.
It's such a complicated legacy. Like, was he an evil genius, a misunderstood leader, or just someone trying desperately to hold on to power?
Perhaps all of the above. Figures like Herod often defy simple labels, and that's part of what makes them fascinating to study. He showed us the heights of ambition and the depths of cruelty.
And I guess that tension between the amazing temples, the innovation, and, well, the violence is why people are still talking about him more than 2,000 years later.
Yes, Herod's story challenges us to consider the impact of leadership, a legacy shaped by both constructive and destructive forces.
And on that note, I think we've given Herod his due. Thanks for tuning in. And, yeah, let us know your thoughts. Was Herod the Great more great? Or, well, you know.
Absolutely. Until next time, take care and keep asking the big questions. And please, like, share, and subscribe so that we can let others learn from the Word of God. Till next time, God bless.
Well, what a wonderful story from them two. And as we close the chapter on King Herod, we're reminded that the power without humility can lead to destruction. Herod was a man who ruled with fear. He sought control at all costs, and even attempted to oppose God's divine plan. His paranoia drove him to acts of cruelty, including the infamous massacre of innocent children. Yet through his story, we learn a valuable lesson. No matter how great a ruler may seem in earthly terms, God's purpose will always prevail. Herod tried to stop the rise of the Messiah, but he could not stop what God had already set in motion. In Herod's downfall, we see the futility of fighting against the will of God. And in the survival and triumph of Jesus, we find hope, the assurance that light will always overcome darkness. May we choose humility over pride, truth over fear, and trust in the King whose kingdom shall never end. Amen. See you next time, folks. Yeah, boy. Yeah, come on. That's it. Woo.